We know women are the ones who face a lot of these cases. In more cases that are reported, it is amongst the women. Where are the men? Do men really face gender-based violence? The reality is yes, they do face gender-based violence. Hello, my name is Kelvin Karuga, and I work with communities within Nakuru County as a budget facilitator, a defender of human rights, as well as a champion of sexual reproductive health and rights and gender mainstreaming. So there's this story that I would love to share. Once it happened that we were going to meet as friends who cycle from different counties, different kind of bikes, different styles of riding. But one thing that was common that brought us together is that all of us were cycling. So we took our journey to Naivasha, and after cycling for a day, we decided to settle down around a campfire and exchange stories from our experiences in life. So there's this thing that caught my attention. One friend of ours shared how back in the days when we were still in class 6, these days they call it grade 6, or around there, he had a moment with their house help. So the house help could tell him to come early, just after school, when nobody's at home, so that they could do something. She used to tell him, touch me here, do this, do that. And it was pleasure for her, and for him, it was taking away his innocence. I realized that around the bonfire, most of them had the same experience with either their house help or some big girl when they were still young, maybe in grade 5, grade 6, or grade 7. So this is something that was so common among the boys back then. Some of us who did not have that experience, we looked like we did not have the kind of rite of passage into adulthood. So we were like lost. And this is what makes it so bad. When a lie, a false narrative is told so many times and it's repeated over and over again, it starts sounding like it is the truth. And this is what limits many survivors of gender-based violence from accessing justice, accessing services, or accessing services that might improve their mental health so that it can help them deal with trauma. That is why some of these cases have men repeating the same kind of experiences they had over to another person. And we hear these stories in our communities. So we can clearly see that men, even when they were boys, experienced some form of gender-based violence, but nobody came out to report. So they normalize it, they live with it, and we take gender-based violence as a women's issue. So it is a very big myth because it is a lie that has been repeated over time, and it has become truth to some of us, which needs to be addressed. It limits justice, it limits access to services. And there are so many myths out there that continue to perpetrate gender-based violence in our communities. We know women are the ones who face a lot of these cases. In more cases that are reported, it is amongst the women. Where are the men? Do men really face gender-based violence? The reality is yes, they do face gender-based violence. There is also a very common Kenyan narrative that if you mention, everyone will tell you, yeah, that is true. Yet it's a universal lie. You have all heard people saying, watu wawili wenye wamelala kitanda moja mambo yao huingilia. And it always props up when it's a case of gender-based violence or domestic violence. They domesticate it. They don't want it to come out. So that is a myth because you can still help. You can still intervene in such cases rather than seeing your neighbor being carried out in a casket or being taken to hospital with injuries when you're just a bystander. So that is another lie which is very universal. If people have an issue, intimate personal violence cannot be justified just because they are in a relationship or partnership. You can still ask one of them or both of them to seek help. You can ask for the perpetrator to change, or you can inform them about the repercussions of their actions. The other thing is the survivor needs help, needs psychological support, needs to be treated of their injuries, or you can always inform someone else who is an expert or someone who has the skills and ways of intervening in such a case. So even though they have slept in one bed, covered in one blanket, that is something you can still intervene. we should not take it as a truth that if that has happened, it is their own affair. So looking at that, it also takes us to another angle where men, why are men always be the ones on the receiving end? People keep asking that question. So we have normalized the narrative that GBV or gender is a women's issue. I already talked about that. Men experience gender-based violence. But still, at the same time, men can come up as allies. We can support people who are experiencing gender-based violence. And the other narrative that mostly goes around men is in Kenya, with our internet and mobile phone penetration, technology-facilitated gender-based violence is very common. We usually say, hizo ni mambo za online. Those are things that take place online and we cannot take them offline. But you see, whatever happens online has an impact. It has an effect, mostly negative, offline. If someone has been violated because of their posts, someone has been body shamed, there is doxing where we salamia people online, sharing their information, where their kids go to school, where their wives work, at what time they come home. That one compromises the safety of other people, and it is a way of supporting technology-facilitated gender-based violence. We have so many forms. We have sextortion, we have revenge porn, we have other forms which cannot be clearly stated. Like, for example, we have technology-facilitated violence in form of cyber flashing, where someone uses their nudes or their obscene images to lure other people. It takes us further to online sexual exploitation of children, which is also a crime. But when you say these are just online issues, we have become people who are perpetrating violence against the survivors who have already experienced violence online. And that is how myths become facts. Yet myths will always remain to be myths. So we need to come together as a community, look at these narratives internally, look at what is a lie that is being purported as a truth, so that we can be able to support survivors of gender-based violence. As we celebrate 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, we should always remember that we have laws in place, we have policies in place, we have guidelines, we have service providers who can support us to make sure that survivors of GBV access justice. But as a community, when we continue pushing narratives that are going to stop them or to make them feel ashamed, to make them feel like they cannot be helped, we are going to really perpetrate violence against our own people in the community. So we need to come out, speak against these myths and misconceptions, including stereotypes, so that we can be able to address the evil that is going on in our community, which is gender-based violence. Na pia kuongezea, kuna kitu moja tunataka tuangalie. Someone has defiled a child, amepelekwa kotini, kesi imefanyika, witnesses, evidence imekuwa presented. Yeye anaenda jela, mwenye amekuwa perpetrated, the survivor anaenda nyumbani. So this girl akona mtoto, yeye mwenyewe ni mtoto na anarudi kwa familia yake. Is that justice? So let us come together to support our madam. Mtoto apate kuwa supported when it comes to nutrition, antenatal care, postnatal care. Mtoto agrow kama watoto wengine. Msichana je, kama tunaweza msaidia, kuna policies na kuna sheria na kuna kila kitu ya going back to school. Arudi shule, asome, and then we have organizations out here. Let's come together and even support them when it comes to economic empowerment, because she's a mother who is taking care of a child. So that is our responsibility going forward. Let us look at justice wholesomely. Justice is not only when the perpetrator goes to jail. Let's serve justice for the survivor and the people who depend on them.